Hey y'all, we're going to talk today about what I call the square roll reset. And it's a backup technique that I've noticed is a pattern in a lot of pro banjo backup. And I simplified some backup there in order to demonstrate it. You may not even know what you're listening to, but in this lesson, I'm going to show you, and it's going to help you change from chord to chord, playing that rolling up the neck backup. I'm going to make it very simple. We're going to stay in one chord position, work on the 1, 4, and 5, but I'm going to arm you with the tools that you need to be able to smoothly go from chord to chord and keep it interesting at the same time. Thank you, Daniel, for playing that excellent guitar. If you're watching somewhere else besides banjobandclark.com, I'd be honored to have you on board. Come on over, become a Gold Pick member, see this whole lesson and over 700 others. Let's go. I'm going to start with a couple of generalizations that I'm going to make that are just generalizations. They're not blanket statements. But when you listen to great banjo backup players, you're going to hear these things generally. And that is that backup, up the neck backup, is generally made up of forward rolls or backward rolls, okay? But most of the time, forward rolls. Also, whenever the chord changes to a new chord, generally, that measure begins with a thumb, okay? There's ways to break that up, but if you go and you study Crow, you go study Scruggs, these guys, they're using the thumb a lot of times to slide into the root note of that next chord. So when we're armed with that kind of information, it creates a bit of a problem. That's what this lesson is about today. It's to get rid of this problem, even if you don't know that it persists. And that's that we're trying to play 3-note rolls in spaces of time that are made for 4 notes and 8 notes and 16 notes. That's always kind of the problem with playing banjo, is that we've got these 3-finger rolls made up of 3 notes, and we're trying to fit them in these awkward square boxes that aren't really made for that. So sometimes we'll run into these little dead ends where it's like my roll finished early before the chord's ready to change, or I've still got this roll going and I'm at the end of a measure. What do I do? So I've studied the greats, particularly Crow, and I've seen a trend that he generally use to help him, what I call reset, before he goes into a new measure. Lots of players do this. It's just Crow's really good at it, and it's quite easy to see it throughout his playing. Let me first demonstrate to you just here on the iPad the problem that I'm talking about whenever we play these forward rolls over the course of 1 or 2 measures. If you look here, this is part of the tab in our lesson today. If you look here at measures 9 through 10, we have this forward roll way up on the neck in a G chord position. So we've got this roll. And we see that each measure is made up of how many eighth notes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's right. But again, we talked about our forward rolls being made up of 3 notes. 8 divided by 3 is not an even number, right? There's a remainder left over, and that's what we see here. And this is what we often do in banjo playing. We stretch this roll into the next measure so that over the course of 2 measures, you get through several of the rolls. What you'll notice, though, here is that we have a quarter note. There's a 8th note missing there. If we were to continue our pattern, we technically should play another 16th fret right there. But what would that do? That would make that a thumb note. And we generally, as I said, want to start the next measure with a thumb. So if we were to continue this roll and play a 16th fret there, we would then have 2 thumbs in a row and we get stuck. We need a reset, what I call a reset. And that's what we're going to learn up here with these square rolls, hence the name square roll reset. Okay? So I'm going to break it way down for you. We're just going to use one chord position that I'm going to teach you here in a bit. You probably already know it. We're just going to use one roll, really, and we're going to introduce these square rolls to show you how to move from chord to chord. Beyond that, I'm going to show you how to do the very same thing, but bringing in a 7th note. You heard that the second time through the progression, the G, C, and D, when Daniel and I played, I added in a little blues note that sounded different. That's the seventh tone, the dominant seventh. I'm going to show you how to add that in just as a little trick without having to do anything different with our pick hand. I'm excited about this one. This is just the basics of backup, looking at it from a systematic perspective, seeing what the masters do, and they probably didn't sit around and think about this. This is just what they developed in order to help them play better and be prepared to go that next chord. And we're going to learn that, put it on paper, and then take it with us wherever we go.